Okay, fact hunters. Today like you to tell me about the good place, or maybe the bad place. Because tonight, it's heaven or hell. Over to you.
Ooh.
See you in half an hour.
Fact hunt!
Hello, welcome back. So over the last 30 minutes, I have charged my intrepid fact hunting friends to go out and gather facts about heaven and hell. So put aside your demons, gather up the better angels of your natures, and Tom, could you take us to paradise?
Well, I can take you to hell. In fact, I can take you to the highway to hell because I know exactly where that is. Do you want to know where the highway to hell is? Perth.
So Route 66.
Oh,
Mhm.
It's Perth. In
Yeah.
West Australia.
Mhm.
Yep,
Is that it?
that's where it is.
No
I
further
will
questions.
take no more
moving on.
Is it paved in good
No.
intentions?
No, it's actually quite chronic for accidents and quite a lot of good drinking spots. The Highway to Hell, the famous AC/DC song, was written basically to kind of talk about how awful touring was, and Canning Highway in Perth is what Highway to Hell is inspired by.
Right.
Hell being in Australia is very efficient. You ask around New Zealand and people, yeah, and what?
Just over that way.
Western Australia I wouldn't have gone with. It would have gone with Sydney, maybe, but
Underselling it that it's only one place in Australia.
we put all the poisonous animals there.
And it's hot as balls.
Jen,
Ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth?
Oh.
Is heaven a place on earth? And so I looked into it and I found out that you can drive from hell to heaven, but it'll take 36 hours.
Whoa.
Blue
It's
Heaven
not-
is a place on earth, I believe, is the lyric to that song. So is it Blue Heaven?
It's not blue heaven. It is in fact called Swede heaven.
Swede
There's
Heaven?
one town in America that I could find called heaven, and it is called Swede heaven. And that is the sum total of information that exists about it anywhere on the internet that I could find.
Swede
in
as
30
in
minutes.
the root
Yeah.
vegetable, is
I mean, I would
Swede,
presume the nationality rather
Yeah,
than
yeah.
vegetable.
No, that is
but
where Swedes go to die. It's
Yeah.
actually like Valhalla, but
again, right. Valhalla is much less built up than I would have assumed it
it's
was.
a real letdown for those Vikings. And they're like, shouldn't be here.
Is it inland as well? Like all these Vikings
it
that have to
is.
drag their boats across the land and things.
Really far. So yeah, Swede Heaven is in Washington, Washington State, not Washington DC, and Hell is in Michigan. I decided not to go for the Norwegian Hell because I didn't have time to Skyscanner the trip. If you didn't want to go straight to heaven, if you just wanted to go back to Eden, there are 4 Edens in America, in Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, and Arizona.
We've got Mount Eden here in Auckland. I'm pointing at it.
You do.
We've got Dunedin down here.
Oh yeah.
It starts with Dun and ends in Eden.
I always
Yeah.
thought Dunedin was great because it was the Garden of Eden. Garden
Yeah.
Eden.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah.
I just really want to know how many. One thing I wanted to look up but didn't have time to was how many
Eden.
botanical gardens there are in the Edens.
But what happened to the Swedes, right? Like they were
They're still in
in
Sweden.
way
Still in
across
Sweden,
Europe
buddy.
and-
It
So,
didn't go extinct.
I think that's what happens when you catch Christianity.
Sam, where can you take us after heaven and hell?
You know, you can go to hell before you die.
Mhm.
And by that I mean the Norwegian town of hell. but more specifically, in hell in Norway, they currently have it's a small town. These 50,000 people who live there. They have a grocery store, a gas station, a fast food shop, and a retirement home. Imagine going to the retirement home in hell.
Go to hell, Dad. No, I mean we found you a place in a really nice nursing home. It's going to
really
be great.
nice.
You're going to love it.
They've got a gas station.
Yeah, that's right. And then and here's the other part about it. One of the European highways, the E6, went to hell. So it was literally the highway to hell. But in 95, it got rediverted, so now you can't. There's no highway to hell anymore. So you'd have to revert back to the one in Perth.
Does hell mean light in Norwegian? Like, does it mean so? The reason hell in Germanic languages often means light or reference to airy light, like Hellas beer and things like that.
I have a fun fact about that.
Yeah.
I actually
Does
know
this
the
mean that
answer
I need to
this.
shut up again, Jen?
You could do. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think you should shut up. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's being very rude to you, Kenny. I think you're nailing this. And
No, it's fair enough. I mean, I'm not the one who's meant to be bringing the facts this time. That's you guys. So you can legitimately tell someone you're going to see them in hell. I like that.
I'll see you in hell.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, thank you so much. No one comes to visit me.
Jen, over to you for your second fact, please.
Well, I'm going to jump off Sam's fact and tell you some more about hell in Norway. So it actually comes from the Old Norse word hellir, which means an overhang or a
Hell
cliff
yeah.
Hell yeah.
And it has a more used homonym in modern Norwegian that means luck. So I guess you could say go to hell, maybe like break a leg. I don't know. I feel like that might be
Go
strange.
to hell, you lucky bastard.
But the two cool things that I found out about hell were that it regularly freezes over because it gets to minus 25 degrees Celsius during winter,
Amazing.
which is very cold.
Very cold.
There was a British punk band called The Boys who recorded their third album in hell, and as a result called their album To Hell with the Boys, which I think is very cute.
Yeah.
And they have I didn't write this down, but they have I think it's like a goods depot, like a post office kind of thing, but like for freight in hell, and they've deliberately spelled it in an archaic way so that it says hell, God's expedition, because gods in Norwegian we would translate as goods, and then it's expedition. Yeah, they've done it in a way that makes it look cute to English tourists.
That's clever. That's
Is
clever.
there a Hell's Pizza in hell? Or is it just called
they
pizza?
should so open one up. That would
Can
be
I just
amazing.
fact check
Just
you there,
one.
Kenny? What did you just say? What did you call the name of the store?
Oh yeah.
Is there a Hell's Pizza?
Oh, Kenny, singular. It's Hell
No, it's
Pizza.
Hell
I
Pi-
always
Hell
do
Pizza.
that.
It's actually
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's actually Dr. Hell Pizza.
Yeah.
Hell is the
Pizza
hell
is the name of
builder's
the
name.
scientist
It's
that
Hell's
invented
Monster.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Guys.
This is why we're friends.
Over to you, Sam.
Following a little bit on from what Jen was saying, the first thing I thought of was like, oh yeah, oh baby, do you know what the heaven is a place on earth? I read about the song by Belinda Carlisle. Great song, well done, her. She didn't write it. A different guy wrote it, and the guy and someone else, and I can't remember who they were called, but they wrote a bunch of other like Dido songs and Lana Del Rey songs and Dua Lipa now as well. Anyway, that's not even the fact. That's beside the point. My point is, and I do have one, is that
Unusual.
Heaven is a Place on Earth is from the album Heaven on Earth, and they were released on September the 14th, 1987. And
Oh God.
do you know what song was the UK #1 that day?
Is it Highway to Hell?
Oh, it's even better.
Ooh.
The #1.
Heaven by Brian Adams.
Even better. Do 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 do. We're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do
So
I.
do I.
Did we just get rickrolled?
You just
by
got
a fact?
rickrolled during a fact.
by history.
Sorry, I need to leave.
Hopefully that's the first and last Rickroll I've ever experienced without
Oh!
actually clicking on it.
Can
Yeah,
I tell you
sorry.
one extra fact as well? So, Belinda Carlisle, she released. She's still making music. She had a horrible drug problem, and then a voice told her to stop doing drugs, so she did. And but she released an album in 2017, and it's just Sikh chanting, so it's not quite as catchy. The melodies aren't great.
Good on
Yeah.
her for getting back into it, though.
Good on her. Good on her for doing it.
It's more of a musical purgatory. I mean, it's not
That's-
good. It's not bad. You just sort of stuck
yeah, that's it. Okay.
Just goes on and on and on and on.
That's
in
right.
limbo
That's
a
right.
bit.
Damn it!
So
Should have
Tom-
known facts about the limbo.
Yeah, hasn't the Catholic Church abolished limbo? Doesn't it not exist anymore?
Just because the Pope can't bend over that
It
well.
went out with paying indulgences and things, I think, when people realized that if God had to be bribed, then maybe he wasn't on like.
Maybe he wasn't such a stand-up guy.
I love the idea that purgatory, while you're waiting to decide whether you go to heaven and hell, you just spend your time doing the limbo. It was just hanging out, having a great time.
So, Tom, over to you for your second fact.
Well, I know about the highway to hell, but let me tell you about the gate to hell. So this is a tale of legend, an area where cows and animals were just drop dead, but priests of the god of Hades, of the gods, could go down and be relatively unhurt. So this is an area in the ancient city of Helenopolis in Turkey, and it's
Helenopolis.
I'm pretty sure it's called Helenopolis.
Amazing.
You're making me check.
Helenopolis.
Greek
Oh no, sorry.
city.
Hierapolis. Sorry, guys.
Oh, here.
But how good would that be? We'll change it retroactively to Helenopolis. And so it's this big kind of gate cave, and it was this kind of big religious site, and they would like sacrifice bulls and they'd take them down and they just drop dead. And every morning they'd come up and find these kind of dead birds all around it. And it turns out that this cave, it was rediscovered about a decade, 15 years ago. And they found out why it killed so many different things, and it's because it's in an incredibly volcanic area, and just massive amounts of carbon dioxide get billowed up out of the crack. And because it's really interesting, actually, because in the daytime you could go down deeper because the carbon dioxide would kind of get it would get heated up, and so it would kind of disperse. But at night, when it was cooler, the carbon dioxide would cool and settle, and she'd have this kind of very thick layer of carbon dioxide. And so, yeah, basically birds would just pass out and die in there. But priests would walk in, but because they were taller than the actual carbon dioxide, which kind of settles like a pool, they'd be able to be like, hey, cool, how cool are we? And people thought it was because they were castrated. That meant they were basically their lack of genitals kept them a little safe from hell.
But that's also interesting because castration reduces the amount of testosterone produced, which means that generally eunuchs
you're immune to carbon dioxide.
No, eunuchs don't tend to grow as tall as non-castrated males.
So they'd be the ones dying.
So they'd have to be picking out the tall boys to castrate. Otherwise, you'd be sending a bunch of short priests in, and they'd all be carking it.
But do you guys want to hear the name of the gate? Last part.
Yes, please.
The name of
Hell's
the gate. No, plutonium.
Whoa!
That's so cool. Oh well, Pluto's the Greek realm of the dead, so that makes sense.
It does.
Actually, the Roman, Jen.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jen, how embarrassing.
You
confuse that thing.
classicist.
You confuse that thing that everyone confuses anyway.
Is the element named after that gate, or is the element just named after
The element's named after the
Pluto.
Disney character.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes
And there's
sense. That's why they've
Goofium.
got Goofonium as well.
Yeah.
Over to you, Sam, for the third fact.
Where would you go if you wanted to see the warship, the Kronsbrunn Gustav Adolf, which was the pride of the Swedish Navy?
Sweden.
Would I go to hell?
You would go to Helsinki. So this is amazing. So I got to the point where I was like, Helsinki. Oh, that's got the word hell in it. Sinky. I wonder if anything sunk off the coast of Helsinki. And it's this thing. There's this actual boat. It was sunken in 1788. It was a Swedish boat named after King Gustav, who had gone to basically claim back some land from Finland, and Finland was like, nah, you guys, and then sunk it. They then found it in 1995. And then 5 years later, it became a wreck park where you can just go underwater and visit these shipwrecks. And it's just off the coast of Helsinki.
It's been a very Nordic episode so far.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
This is going out to friend of the podcast, Sandy Toxvig.
Tom, over to you for our next fact.
Dante's Inferno, the Divine Comedy, was actually mostly a diss track.
What?
So we all know about Dante's The Divine Comedy. Jen, is yours why it's called a comedy?
No, mine is about him being a massive Mary Sue.
Oh, no, so I don't have that one.
Can you just explain about Dante's Inferno for those people who don't know about it?
Sam.
So
Sam.
Dante's Inferno, the Divine Comedy is a poem by Dante Alighieri, and it describes
It doesn't rhyme.
him.
Allegedly.
Yeah, it's more of a limerick, and as he travels down the nine.
There once was a man from Inferno.
There once was a Dante Alighieri who went to a place rather scary. Turned out it was hell, and downwards he fell.
And then
And at the end, the devil was
Larry.
Larry. Oh, there we go.
Wait, I
We did it.
didn't hear either of those because you both said it at the same time.
Okay, never mind.
They were
Good.
both bad, so
It's fine. But yeah, so it's about the nine circles of hell, and as he goes down, and the very bottom is the devil, where hell has actually frozen over because the devil is actually surrounded by ice. But as he goes down, he like describes like a bunch of different people that he's like he runs into that are like fictional characters, but also real people, often people who he hated. And so he put people that he didn't like. The Pope was in one of the circles of hell. Pope Boniface VIII, who was his public nemesis.
Amazing.
That there was a place reserved for him in the lowest depths of hell. So yeah, a lot of Dante's personal enemies he just included in Dante's Inferno, which
great.
I find very funny.
That's great.
if
Rap
you want to
battles
get a
got nothing
flavor
on
for Inferno, you know that Rowan Atkinson sketch where he's the devil and he's operating the lift? And he's saying,
It's the welcome.
fornicators, murderers, adulterers, people who skip the line, this is your stop.
Yeah.
It's very that.
The French, are you here?
We'll put you in with the Germans.
Germans, you'll have a lot to talk
A
about.
lot to talk about.
I like to keep things informal here as well as infernal. Just a little joke. I say it every time. I know the sketch very well.
Yeah.
I also love that Dante's Inferno is called the Divine Comedy, and the only reason it's called a comedy is because he wrote it for poor people. Basically because he wrote it in the language of the plebs, of the commoners. Anything that was written in that was considered a comedy.
But it is also a moral instructional guide. Like Inferno is only the first of the 3 books, so the whole text is an allegory for the soul's journey from judgment to salvation. So you start with Inferno, go through hell, and you get to Purgatorio, which is obviously purgatory, and that's where you repent, and then you become saved by God's grace, and you end up in Paradiso.
I thought Purgatorio was Italian purgatory.
It's like normal purgatory, but with meatballs.
Yeah.
And Paradiso is one of those orange ice creams.
Ice creams, they're delicious.
So
With the
good.
yogurty inside, that's
Yeah.
really
They're
good.
really good. Yeah.
That is the taste of heaven.
Can I be honest? When you started talking about Dante's Inferno, I thought you were talking about Dante's Peak, the movie with Pierce Brosnan. And I still don't really know what Dante's Inferno is. It's a poem.
It's
by
a
a guy called
first
Dante.
It's the first book of 3 books, which together make up the Divine Comedy.
It's basically Dante's Lord of the Rings.
Shit, Lord of the Rings. Yep.
Yeah, shit, Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
But the whole way through, so the first 2 books through Hell and Purgatory, Dante is guided by Virgil, who wrote the Aeneid, who's like one of the most famous.
Thunderbird 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Canonically, Virgil from Thunderbirds is named after Virgil, the classical poet.
No,
but-
he's named after an astronaut.
But
Don't question me on Thunderbirds. I may not know what you nerds are talking about, but I will go down with the Thunderbird show.
But
So
Dante,
did-
because Dante is the one going through this, he is the first person narrator. The whole time he's with Virgil, Virgil's just like, oh, I just wanted to say as well, Dante, I'm a real big fan. I think it's really cool. And then when he gets to heaven, he's guided by this woman called Beatrice, who he was in love with from afar until she died. And she literally never knew who he was in life. But then he turns up in paradise. She's like, oh my God, it's so nice to meet you. Oh my God.
Oh,
Wow, it's so great to
lovely.
see you. So it's just basically him going through all these journeys, but also hanging out with his hero and his unrequited crush, and then both just thinking he's awesome and amazing and constantly mentioning this in conversation.
So over to you, Jen.
Okay, so my fact is that you'll know that you're in heaven when you can see McDonald's, Five Guys, Starbucks, and Paul Patisserie within walking distance of each other, because you can find all of them on the Champs-Élysées in Paris.
What?
I wanted to find out what kind of snacks you get in heaven, and I remembered that one of the kind of big roads in central Paris that leads up to the Arc de Triomphe is called the Champs-Élysées, which is the French word for the Elysium Fields, which is the Greco-Roman paradise concept. And so I wanted to find out what snacks there were, and it turns out there's a McDonald's, there's a Starbucks, and there's a Five Guys. But more importantly, and proof to me that it actually is kind of heavenly, there's also a Paul Patisserie, which does some of the best hot chocolate I've ever had.
And did you sing "Oh Champs Elysees"? Do, 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 do. or was that just me?
No, because
point
I'm not
of-
500 years old.
I don't know what that song is.
Oh, Champs-Élysées. It is a song. Oh,
Oh, Soleil,
Champs-Élysées. I have a story about this. I lived in England growing up, and my dad took my brother and I to the Arc de Triomphe, and he didn't realize that there was a tunnel under the road to get to the Arc de Triomphe. He took us across
No.
5
Okay,
lanes of
okay.
traffic. I was 2 years old, and my brother was 4. Oh, same
That's
trip.
kind of
Same trip that we went to the to the Louvre and or Louvre. I don't know how it's. Well, how's it said, Kenny?
Lava.
The
Lava.
Lowther. You go to
Yeah.
the Lowther.
the
The
Gemma Lowther.
lavatory,
The
to the
Lowther.
toilet.
We went to the Louvre, and Dad was looking at a painting, and he looked left and looked right, leaned over and touched the painting.
And that's why
My
your
dad-
dad's been banned from France.
my
Your
dad's a
dad chucked that
legend.
soup at the painting, didn't he?
Yeah, he did the that whole Da Vinci Code thing is based on my dad. Real shout out to my dad. Good on you,
Murdering a
Dad.
man.
That's
Murdering
right.
a guy and leaving
Yeah,
clues.
that's right. And then he became the voice of Woody on Toy Story. That's a Tom Hanks thing.
I went to the Louvre with a very classically Australian ochre guy, and he got really, really excited when we were beside the Mona Lisa. And this was very uncharacteristic because art and him weren't really one and the same thing.
Yeah.
And I went up to him, Nathan, you really need to see this. You really need to see this. It should be the most famous painting of all. I go, yeah, people have heard of it. And he's like, no, around the back. And he took me around. And there's another painting which had 2 ladies in the all together, and one of them had her finger up the other one's. Yeah. And he was so happy.
That's good.
I like art.
Yeah.
It's good. We've all learned something today. Tom, over to you for the next fact.
Right. Well, I'm going to tell you a fact about almost heaven, West Virginia.
Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah River.
So not quite fully the reef, but I wanted to get there. Because in almost heaven, West Virginia, they thought they found lion bones, but no, they found a giant sloth fossil.
Cool.
Oh, is
Almost
this the
heaven.
mega thingy? What's he called?
Mega sloth.
Megatherium.
Megadeth.
Megadeath.
Megatron. They found a giant sloth fossil. So there were giant sloths living in almost heaven, West Virginia.
Oh, cool. That'll be what caused John Denver's plane to crash because he saw one. Oh my gosh.
It just swatted him out of the sky. Like, no.
Just like King Kong, right?
Yeah.
Like, but very slowly.
Isn't it funny that John Denver had a song about leaving on a jet plane and not knowing when he'd be back again? And then he died in a plane crash. That's funny.
Is it funny or is it just kind of a little bit
Pretty
weird
funny.
and sad?
What's really weird is that he wrote it after he died.
Crazy, eh? How did they get it?
Mhm.
He wrote it as the plane was going down. Oh, guys.
Would've I mean,
Is
it would have been better.
Megatherium the one that avocados evolved for?
Yes, that and other
So-
fruits.
That's why we're going to bring him back so we can finally buy houses.
Really quickly, a quick word from our sponsors. Are you sick of having disposable income?
Yes.
A full night's sleep in your own bed just too comfortable? Does having time for hobbies really get on your nerves? Can we recommend children? Children will take away all of these things that make life worth living and replace them with pain. So, if you would like to set aside all of the things that give life meaning, why not go and have a kid or two? Brought to you by 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. this morning. Back over to you, Jen.
I would like to point out that Slice of Heaven, the classic Dave Dobbin song, has an emu solo.
What?
So as we all know, Slice of Heaven, a classic song for
Should be our
written-
national anthem.
Should be our national anthem. Written and recorded for the classic Foot Rock Flats movie. So consequently, you would think that animals featured might be dogs, maybe a big cat for horse, maybe a magpie, but no, emu. The reason for this is that a lot of the backing music for the song was actually created by Dave Dobbin on a small digital sampling synthesizer, which was called an emu emulator.
Oh, that's great.
It's cool.
It's great, but
And
also
He
disappointing.
wrote the song in 2.5 days, wrote and recorded it in 2.5
Amazing.
days. And New Zealand radio stations refused to play it until it was pretty much #1 in New Zealand because they didn't think it would be popular, despite the fact that it was rapidly ascending to #1 in the charts.
It's stuck in my head now.
Ba-da-da-ba-ba-ba-da-da.
Woo, where did you have... Sam, would you be able to give us your next facts, please?
Yes. Did you know this? I found this fact and it really reminded me of you, Kenny. Did you know that Liverpool has a place called Heaven, and it is their largest
Winning today.
LGBTQIA nightclub? Woohoo! That's why it reminded me of you, Kenny. It's open late. It says it has the most cheesy and most danceable tunes. And
A nightclub is open late. Well,
yeah, that's what they brag about on their website.
It's open to 11 for those kids you have.
It's really good. It's a good sort of place that's open to everyone, no matter what you identify as. However, their website is white writing on a yellow background, so I can't fucking read it. So, horrible website, but a great cause. Liverpool, I'll take the win.
Heaven is open to everyone except the partially sighted.
Sighted like myself. That's right.
Which is funny because the phrase is "see you in hell" when you clearly
That's right.
Just time for 3 very quick facts, beginning with yourself, Jen.
So the outside of the Garden of Earthly Delights is a black and white depiction of the earth without any people on it, because the 2 leaves of the triptych, the Garden of Eden and the Last Judgment, fold in, and then the front of that is a black and white globe depicted on, I think, the end of the 3rd day. So God had created the heaven, the earth, and put plants on, but there was no people or animals yet.
Gosh,
it's all in black
they have
and
some
white.
wasps here.
Yeah. And then you open it up and there's this incredible colorful, like crazy imagery on the inside, and nobody knows what the central panel is meant to mean, whether it's supposed to be paradise lost or a kind of dire warning of what happens when we stray from God's path.
What is the Garden of Earthly Delights? What are you talking about?
It's that massive painting behind Kenny.
Yeah.
Oh, is that a painting?
Yeah. It's
Cool.
it's a triptych, so the 2 sides fold inwards to cover the central piece.
Like a Mad magazine. Got it. So Hell's Gate in Rotorua, Hell's Gate was named when George Bernard Shaw, the playwright, came there, and he was like, man, this could be the very gates to hell. And it actually made him quit. He was an atheist, and it made him become a religious person.
Rotorua has that effect on people.
That's right.
It's amazing.
In the movie All Dogs Go to Heaven, the only reason they have Burt Reynolds voicing Charlie the German Shepherd is because of a German Shepherd called Bert.
Okay.
So the animator for All Dogs Go to Heaven had a German Shepherd called Bert, named after Burt Reynolds. So when they made All Dogs Go to Heaven, they got Burt Reynolds to voice Charlie the German Shepherd.
That's so cute.
I've never seen that movie, but I know of it because I once hired Monty Python and the Holy Grail from the Nelson Video Easy, and someone had taped over like 5 minutes in Monty Python and the Holy Grail with All Dogs Go to Heaven. So that movie makes me angry.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of our round. So many cool facts about heaven and hell. Mostly Norwegian heaven and hell. Not really what I was going for. We got down to sort of Holland at times, but that was about it. Anyway, so my favorite facts in no particular order from the 3 of you are, so Tom, I love the fact that the highway to hell could be in Australia. I think that's very epic. Sam, I love the Rickroll and Heaven crossover. I feel that explains a lot. Then, the fact that hell freezes over with regularity in Norway is only a sub-fact of your larger fact, which I think was more about it meaning luck, but I like the freezing over bit. I think I'm going to have to go with Sam for the Rickroll for the win.
Hey, I'd just like to thank everyone for listening and tuning in, and you know what? I'm just never going to give you up. I'm never going to let you down. I'm never going to turn around and desert you.
We are in hell.
So please like, comment, subscribe, tell all your friends about the podcast. Join us next week. have a very happy Halloween, and we will catch you when we catch you.